Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wobble94. I hope you're doing well today. I'm still getting over another day of a cold that my niece gave me from the beach, and I wanted to continue my reviews for Dragon Ball Super that I'm currently reading, and I read pretty much 3 more outside of this 4th one when I went to the beach on vacation last week. So today's review is for Dragon Ball Super Volume 12, the subtitle being, I don't know if you say this character's name is Miru or Mirus, I don't know. Marus's or Miru's true identity. I don't know. Anyway, it's written obviously by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, and it's also having the art done by Toyotarou once again. Here's the cover itself, and I like this cover too. I think it's cool with Goku in his usual outfit, Vegeta wearing kind of the newer Yard Rat outfit as well. Of course, the book is 200 pages, in case you've never read a Dragon Ball Super, or any kind of manga for that matter. Typically, they're about 200 pages. But for $10, bro, you can't beat that. You can go buy a Stephen King book in paperback that's like $20, which is crazy. They were $7 when I was in high school. So, this right here, I thought was a big improvement over the previous volume, Volume 11, that just really, in my opinion, dropped a lot of the ball. A lot of the ball it dropped, though, was with the prison break stuff that I really didn't care about all that much, that I thought was a weird direction to go, but it made sense for what Maro wanted to do. And this book kind of follows along with more of that prison break stuff. Now, I have a couple of different areas I need to cover for this book, more so than I usually did in the previous couple of reviews, so this might be a little bit lengthier. First and foremost, Goku and Vegeta, the cover guys themselves, the guys we read Dragon Ball for, basically, even though we love all these other side characters, if you're a fan like myself, these guys are still training in their different areas. Goku's in a hyperbolic time chamber, not the one we know of, but a different one that was introduced in the previous book, with Meru training, trying to achieve Ultra Instinct so he can come out and beat up, or at least he's trying to master Ultra Instinct to come out and beat up Maro, excuse me. But Vegeta's also training on Yard Rat, the place where Goku went right when the end of the Frieza saga happened, the way he ended up coming back to Earth and whatever. The getup that he was wearing is the same getup Vegeta's wearing. Anyway, Vegeta's training on Yard Rat, and trying to get prepared also to learn some new techniques to come back and fight Maro. To be honest with you, most of this volume is just them training. They haven't even really returned to Earth yet, before this big war is about to break out. As a matter of fact, when you pick up this book and start reading it, you're seeing Bulma trying to recruit Krillin, Piccolo, everybody at Kami's Watchtower, which is now Dende's Watchtower, I guess, with Mr. Popo and everybody. She's basically explaining the whole prison break scenario, the Maro situation with everybody, trying to get everybody on par, and Krillin is freaking out, which is, what's new? What's new? Krillin's always freaking out. So everybody immediately is like, we gotta take this serious. After we've now napped these 3 criminals that were part of the Galactic Patrol prison break situation, they've grabbed 3 of them that Piccolo trapped, trapped last time in the previous volume, and as soon as they're about to figure out what their game plan is going to be while they wait for Goku and Vegeta to come back, while they worry about this Maro threat being outside of the planet somewhere in space, all of a sudden a bunch of criminals that were part of the prison break thing that were, I believe, introduced in the previous volume as well. I read so many of these back to back, it's kind of hard for me to remember. But when I skim through the books, again, before I do these reviews, I try to make sure I get every single panel looked at to make sure I can remember exactly where am I at in the story. But here, it was a big improvement because we immediately start off with a bunch of criminals showing up to this planet. One of them, in particular, is kind of a big threat, leading into even the next volume. His name is 7-3. We don't really know a lot about this guy. Right now, we get an introduction, basically, that he can steal people's powers. Like, he can just grab the back of your neck like he does Piccolo in the beginning of their fight, at the beginning of this book, and he absorbs your abilities, everything that you can do, and he apparently can use it for a certain amount of time, according to what this book tends to explain about him. I think it's in this book. It might be in the next one, but it's not like a big revelation, it's just kind of a thing that they explain pretty early on. Anyway, Piccolo gets in a big fight with this guy. It's pretty fantastic. These guys are trying to get Gohan to show up too, but he's busy right now with a lecture or whatever, so they're kind of waiting around for him to come too, while they fight this guy and these other couple of prisoner from the prison break thing that came with 7-3, the android, whatever this guy is. So anyway, this is right at the brink of the war, and then by the final chapter of Volume 12, you are in the war. Like, everything is starting to kick off. Maro is about to return. That's pretty much what this volume is. Now, you kind of wonder, too, what is Maro doing? Morrow knows that he could defeat everybody. He could destroy all of creation by this point, if he wanted to. He just chooses not to. He loves energy, he loves his magical abilities that he's getting back stronger and stronger now. He's just kind of sitting out in space, conquering planet after planet, letting his henchmen, his, prisoners that he broke out of jail, go and destroy planet after planet, and civilization after civilization, so that he has more and more energy to consume and, make a part of him. So Morrow is a massive threat. You could argue he might be one of the strongest threats Dragon Ball fighters have ever had. The Z fighters are awesome, but this is a new kind of threat, dude. This is bigger than like Majin Buu, who's basically bubblegum, or putty, whatever you want to call the guy. This is bigger than Cell, which was a little piece of everybody, the Z fighters, and other people too, put into one body that was just insanely scary. This is more than Frieza, way more than Frieza. Morrow is a dangerous threat, and waiting for him to come back, it kind of looms over the entire arc, just like it did in the previous book too, when everybody panicked and tried to run away. As weak as the previous arc was in Volume 11, Volume 12 really enhanced that, even though a lot of it is just kind of on the Earth. Everybody mainly trying to prep on the Earth, like Piccolo, Krillin, all of them, the, Yamcha, Tien, everybody trying to prep for this guy to come back, trying to do their best to hold out like they usually have to, even though a lot of the time we assume they're unmatched, that they're not going to be able to do it. These guys are so honorable, and it really brings me back to why I loved Dragon Ball Z back in the day. Characters like Yamcha, Tien, all of them, despite of how much they're forgotten about their abilities and whatever, they absolutely tried. They absolutely try, and a lot of the time they get some moments to shine in this book that we haven't seen for a while aside from the Tournament of Power saga. If you read that, I watched it on the anime and then skipped to the manga books after that, so if you're following my reviews, you know why. But anyway, we haven't seen that kind of love for them in a very long time. GT never did it. Super barely did it until Tournament of Power. So it's kind of nice when we get those moments that appreciate things like Master Roshi, who is also fighting around in here, and I love that as well. Gohan coming back, of course, once he gets out of his lectures. Piccolo, Krillin, all of the usual guys. I love all of that stuff. It was a good counterbalance to just seeing scenes every once in a while of Goku and Vegeta training and not really knowing what they're doing over there. Let me tell you this too, there are some really, really good twists in here involving certain characters, whether it be newer or older, particularly some of the newer characters. I really like some of the twists involving them, some of the revelations we have about them. That stuff is really cool. I think that Toriyama's writing is just impressive. I mean, super impressive. Some of the best writing I've ever seen him do with any of Dragon Ball has been in the Morrow arc. Dude, if you haven't read these, they're absolutely fantastic. This is a massive improvement over Volume 11, even if I have some small nitpicks here that I really can't get into with some more spoiler leanings, so I don't want to go there. But like I said, really enjoyable read. I had a great time reading this one. It was such an improvement over Volume 11, for sure. The art is beautiful, as always, and I think that's pretty much everything I needed to cover, or wanted to cover, at least. There's some really great Gohan and Piccolo moments in here, too, that I really enjoyed. There's also a really cool couple of moments with Whis, which I liked. But anyway, with all that being said, Dragon Ball Super Volume 12, Meru's True Identity. What did you guys think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about this volume down in the comment section down below if you happen to read it, if you happen to be a fan. Did you think this was better than the previous volume that kind of was the slump, in my opinion, of the entire Morrow arc? I think this was probably the biggest improvement of that so far. But I really, really enjoyed this. I had a blast with it. Just super fun, super engaging. Getting those Gohan Piccolo moments were really cool. Seeing some of the new villains that were kind of lackluster, that was okay. The Prison Break stuff, again, I'm still not a big fan of, but I understand why it was done, why Morrow wanted to do that. It makes sense, and it makes sense here too. Morrow being a looming threat is fantastic. I love the presence that he can have when he's barely in this entire book. This whole 200 pages, Morrow is barely there, barely even mentioned most of the time because of the drama that we're dealing with, the tension that we're dealing with. So to have him just kind of there in the background in spirit is incredible if you can pull that off in a comic book like they did here. Toriyama, Toyotarou are masters at the craft, and this is a fantastic example of that. If I had to rate Dragon Ball Super Volume 12, Meru's True Identity, Meru's, it has two S's. It'd be Meru's, right? I don't know. I'm still sick, I can't pronounce it correctly. Forgive me. Anyway, if I had to rate this book on a 5-star basis, I'd give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Really good. Really, really enjoyable read. One that I had a blast with, and I definitely recommend, but do read the Morrow arc in order, starting from Volume 9 onward. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. I have about 3 more of these reviews, and then, of course, I'm still in the middle of the Granola arc right now. I'll try to get around to reviewing that as soon as I get through those books, too. I'm going to be piled up with reviews. You'll be piled up with reviews as well, so forgive me for that. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. What are your thoughts on Volume 12? Put them down below. Thank you again. Goodbye.